I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our
Today
channel.
we're watching Monogatari Second Season, Episode 12. We're skipping Episode 11 as it's another summary or another recap. Last episode, we had Shinobu versus Heart Under Blade, and it was the best fight I have ever seen in my entire life.
It was definitely not what I expected it to be, and maybe not what Aragi and Shinobu expected it to be either.
Yeah, just seeing and knowing that there's a world that they could be together was enough to end a fight.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine we're going to get Sengoku this episode. The ending of last episode in the ED or the after credit seemed like it said Nadeko, so I guess we're revisiting her.
Mm-hmm. I honestly, her kind of costuming, her outfit when we first got introduced to her, she became like an instant favorite of mine. I was like the big hat, you know?
Yeah.
I just instantly loved her. Her OP was amazing for Bake Monogatari. I'm really excited. Honestly, that might be one of the parts that I'm most excited going into this episode is getting a new OP for her. But then I also have the questions that are also equally important, which is why are we going back to visit her? Is that just what Monogatari Season 2 is that we are kind of wrapping up with each person?
Maybe. You ready?
Yeah.
Sweet.
戦国Nadeko 14歳6月3日生まれ
June 3rd.
双子座身長153センチ体重
Medusa.
38キロ右利き
Worn out by it.
好きな食べ物ハンバーグ好きなお兄ちゃんこよみお兄ちゃん好きな人荒木こよみ
Okay. Let's open up this book.
知らない人が今のなでこを見たらどう思うんだろうね
So many people with white hair.
下でコソコソとしているだなんて
しかし人間なんて多かれ少なかれ、みんな泥棒みたいなもんだろうよ。そいつもこいつも他人の利権をかすめ取ることしか考えてね。
そうかな
I want the snake to meet Kaiki.
それをなでこちゃんはこの数日で誰より世界中の誰よりも深く思い知ったんじゃねえのか。
She's the target of ire again, I bet.
でもそうじゃない人もいっぱいいると思うけれど
それを言うならそうじゃない時もいっぱいあるというべきだろうな。そいつがどういう時にどういうやつなのかってことだけだろう。
I'd recognize that shoe anywhere.
I wanted you to chase me here. Holy shit!
小読みお兄ちゃんは吸血鬼だと言います。しかしその吸血鬼ゆえの回復力というのはこうして見る限り
You can see
全
bone.
くと言っていいほど
Is Shinobu not with him? Holy
ひ
shit!
どい言い草だな、なでこちゃん。この吸血鬼のお兄ちゃんをここまでひどい目に遭わせたのはお前じゃねえかよ。吸血鬼に
Similar
男は有
to
効
the
だからな。
cursed cat.
Venom affects vampires too.
今もこいつを貫いたまま。
Oh.
なでこだった。なでこが悪いんだった。言い訳の余地なく、情状酌量の余地なく、なでこが悪いんだった。じゃあ、ちゃんと戦わないと。身も心もすっかり怪異に出してしもうたという感じじゃの。いや、
Like she
この
gave
場合
up.
はいっそ怪異に焦点
She has
して
become an
an
oddity.
oddity.
アルハ小僧がやけにこの前髪娘を気にかけとった理由がようやく分かったわ。いや、今やこやつは前髪娘
Now she's the girl with the
ヘビ髪
fangs.
娘か。今やこの娘はお前様の妹子の友人でもなければ痛いけな後輩でもない邪悪で凶悪でどうしようもない怪異じゃ。ただの一匹のヘビじゃ。
こいつは僕の敵でお前の食料だ。食っていいぜ、忍。
Holy shit! How did we get here?
本当はなでこがその位置にいたかった。
The one in that
小
position.
読みお兄ちゃんの隣にいたかった。パートナーでいたかった。なのにどうしてなでこは私は小読みお兄ちゃんと敵対しているのでしょうか。小読みお兄ちゃんなんて大嫌いだよ。
Oh!
なでこちゃん。
What a shot!
んなことになってしまったのでしょうか。どうして。
Take us back. Surely we're going to be taken back. Ooh. The laughing? I love this song.
I do not need a world that will not do my bidding.
What do you think it was? Do you think it's Shinobu? Like, that the jealousy stems from of being that close instead of like a Senjugahara
His
or a Hanekawa?
partner.
Yeah.
Why else would she maybe let an oddity in and become an oddity herself? Everything. People always want to take.
話は1000年前に遡ります。
1,000 years.
遡りすぎですよね。
Little bit.
遡るのは口縄さんと出会ったその日までにしておきます。
Okay.
その日の日付は10月31日火曜日のことでした。
Yeah, Halloween
朝は
episode.
いつ
Yes.
も憂鬱なのです。もっと具体的に言うと通学路はいつも憂鬱なのです。憂鬱でない通学路などありません。あの日以来、あの6月以来。おっと危な。
What the? Oogie, what are you doing here?
Oogie Oshino freaks me the fuck out.
怪我はないかい戦国ちゃん。どうしたい戦国ちゃん。うまくかわしたつもりだったけれど。兄
You did a great job.
髪の毛一本くらいかすっちゃってたかな。どうして。
Like, how do you know? How do you know? me?
She feels like an insert. Like,
どうしてナレコの名前。
she isn't supposed to be here.
ああ、そうだ。しまった。まだ私は戦国ちゃんと
What?
は知り合ってなかった。
The idea of the day I met the serpent. There's no way, right?
これ
No.
も八九時ちゃんがなかなか見つからないから。はじめまして可愛らしいお嬢さん。私は推しの扇と言うんだよ。とりあえずこの子には荒木先輩の名前を出しとけばいいんだっけ。
She's a fan who was put into the story.
戦国ちゃん、君のことは荒木先輩から聞いていたんだよ。あー、ダメか。出だしで失敗しちゃったな。まあ、いっか。戦国ちゃんの件って基本的に番外編だし、羽川のところの翼先輩みたいなことにはならないだろう。
What?
Oh my god, dude.
私はね、推しのめめの姪っ子なんだよ。被害者の女の子なんだってね。海木さんが関わっていたせいではあるけれど、いやいや、怪異に関して純然たる被害者というのは珍しい。
A genuine
ただ
victim.
し、人はいつまでも被害者でいられるわけじゃないからね、戦国ちゃん。被害者でいる時と加害者でいる時があるだけだ。それとも君は今でもまだ被害者のつもりなのかな。被害者って楽でいいもんね。みんな同情して優しくしてくれるもん。被害者軽視なんて言葉もあるけれど、おじさんはそういう考え方は嫌いだったと思うけれど、ま、得てして世の中には被害者しかいないということなのかもしれない。ということはさらに裏返して、戦国ちゃんも最初からあんまり純然たる被害者というわけでもないのかも。そして今回の物語ではそれがあらわになるのかもね。
The story this time.
物語。じゃ、
Not showing the hands.
気がつけば結構時間が過ぎてしまっていたのです。なんというか、まるで時間を盗まれたかのように。
My time had been stolen from me.
さておき、学校に到着しました。
Cool shot, fisheye. Here we go.
気のせいだったのかな。誰のせいかと言われれば、別段誰のせいでもないんですけれど、強いてそんな事態を招いた原因となる人物を無記名の投票で一人選ぶとするなら、満場一致であの
No
サ
biased.
さん、怪奇伝習さんということになるの
怪奇
だと思います。だ、知り合い以上です。
Mhm.
関わり方としては超重
Really?
要人物、VIP と言っていいでしょう。だってナデコの人生はその人のせいで大きくずれてしまったのですから。ああ、こういうのが被害者じみた物言いということになるのか
That's
な。
insane.
いけないいけない。
Holy shit, I love that.
ずれたのはナデコの
Take
周
it
囲
back,
です。
take it back.
外れたのも崩れたのも周囲であり、ナデコ
おー
ではないです。6月のことです。海木さんはこの町 待ちの中学生をターゲットにしました。本当に問題になったのは、お小遣いでなんとかなる範囲の問題視するほどではない大半の詐欺の方でした。要するにクラス内で誰が誰のことを好きか、誰が誰のことを嫌いか、誰が誰のことをどう思っているか、
The
誰が
details.
誰のことをどうしたいかという、そういう個人情報の枠さえ超えたみんなへの思いみたいなものが全て露見してしまったのです。まあその後どういうことになるか大体わかりますよね。今の憂鬱な学校生活です。ギスギスしてモヤモヤして、誰も本心からの会話のできない上辺だけが平和なクラス。
Only on the surface. How uncomfortable it must be for all of them.
今のところ実害はないって感じなのか。それこそ前みたいにお前の体を締め付けてるとか、そういうことは。
I love that Aragi just asks questions and tries to understand
何かあるか。
to determine severity.
白い蛇の幻覚がお前の周囲に何度も何度も
Good
現れる
question.
きっかけなのか何なのか、身に覚えっつうのか。
身に覚え。
怪異にはそれにふさわしい理由があるって言うけれど、まあお前の場合はちょっと違うからな。前もそうだったし。
An exception. Always the victim. Forever.
I mean, Medusa, the victim, becomes
夜。
an enemy, basically, of everyone. The villain of the story.
じゃあナデコが見た白い蛇を食べるの？
場合によっては。でも何でも
Cookbooks?
かんでも食べりゃいいってもんじゃねえから、必要なのはどちらかといえばあいつの持ってる知識の方だな。
Yeah.
星野のやつから受け継いだ専門知識。
じゃあ夜10時に楽しみにしてるね。
あ？
あ、
おい
Slip of the tongue.
大丈夫かお前。やっぱ今すぐ行こうか。なんかお前混乱してるみたいだし。やばいって今の発言。怪異が絡んでる話を楽しみとか。
違うの、そうじゃなくて。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい、小読お兄ちゃん。
Bad idea to apologize.
謝るようなことじゃないけど。
大丈夫と10時だよね。
That expression is a lot deeper than anybody
手が切れる
thinks.
から。うわ、音鳴ってる。すごく音鳴ってる。ピーピー言ってる。あ、そういえば大木さんのことお兄ちゃんに聞くの。
Ah!
愛にはそれにふさわしい理由がある。 だけど今回もまたナデコには思い当たる節は全くないのですから。
おいおい、そりゃねえだろ、なでこちゃん。ああ、お前みたいな自覚のねえガキが一番厄介なんだよ。まったく自分が何を踏みにじって生きているんだかまるっきり分かってねえんだからよ。
誰？
Oh.
北白蛇神社に来な、なでこちゃん。そこで教えてやるよ。お前が
What
何
you're
を踏みに
trampling
じって生
on
きてい
to
るのか。
live.
被害者なんていねえんだよ。この世にいるのは加害者だけだ。
Ain't no victims in the world, only aggressors.
そんな勘違い野郎ばかりだ。
And if she's trampling on something to live, then she's an aggressor with that sentence.
And also, she's trying to self-identify the issue so that she can be helpful, and that's let her hear.
知り尽くしていたかのように。そう。だってこの地獄絵図のような悪夢を作り出したのは他ならぬお前自身なんだからな、なでこちゃん。
なでこ、ここまでのことはしてないよ。
そう、これはただの幻覚。これくらいの数だったかい、なでこちゃん。お前がぶっ殺した数はここまでのことならしたんだよな。
Ramping it up to a degree only to take it back a little bit.
な、
こっち。
こっちを見たな。この口縄を見たな。つまりこれでお前も俺様の同胞ってわけだ。パートナーってわけだ。償ってもらうぜ、なでこちゃん。
Holy shit.
謝ればいいの？謝ってほしいの？償うって何？なでこは
That means there's a penance.
何をすればいいの？
あるいは償いなんて遠回しな言い方をするべきじゃなかったかもな。人間と話すのは久しぶりなもんで加減がわかんねえんだ。悪い悪い、悪かったよ。ああ、なあ、お願いがあるんだよ。 俺様
Look at how
は
long
な
it
でこ
is,
ちゃん
man.
に俺様の同胞を十何匹だか殺したことを少しでもなでこちゃんが気に病んでくれるなら、ああ、それともなでこちゃんにはこういう言い方をすればいいのかな。助けてくれよ、なでこちゃん。
無理な相談だと思いました。けれど断る方がより無理
It
で
was
した。
even more impossible to refuse.
分かった。なでこは言います。耳を塞ぎながら目を伏せながらと思えば、この時にはすでにこの物語の結末は決まっていたのでしょう。もしもこの時に口縄さんがなでこにやらせようとしていることを知っていたとしても、口縄さんがなでこをどうするつもりか知っていたとしても、真実と真実を知っていたとしても、やっぱりなでこは同じようにうなずいたでしょうから。
Just because that's the type of person you are?
そういった物語は物語でしかなく、暦お兄ちゃんと殺し合う未来は刻一刻と近づいています。
That seems
What a-
so quick.
Crazy setup, too. Are we in Sengoku's room? Yeah. She looks gorgeous like that.
I love the colors.
I didn't expect her to just faceplant on the bed, though. I would love a drawing of myself and you in the end credit style of Monogatari characters.
Yeah.
That'd be everything to me. Whoa. Whoa!
Shinobu's captaining the submarine. I love how they like animated that blink to close the eye.
Yeah. Okay, that was Monogatari Second Season, Episode 12. I just want to talk about Oigi Oshino this entire episode, even though it had nothing to do with Oigi Oshino.
I mean, we can go there first. Just because she played a role here. It might have been slightly a smaller role, maybe, to some of the other things we could talk about, like about Sengoku, victimhood, things like that we might want a little more chunk of time to talk about. But though she played a small role at the beginning of the episode, it seems like she plays a rather big role looking down at this world, almost like she knows what's happening.
Yeah. It's interesting because like she'll be giving her own opinions and her own, or what we think are her own opinions and her own comments about, like, you know, only victims, right? And it's something that my uncle would hate being said, and so she separates herself a little bit to be able to give different perspectives or opinions on things. But at the end of the day, like you said, she is almost like a meta character that you are inserting. It's like you're inserting yourself as an author into
like
the story.
Fan insert even during the episode.
Yeah, but narratively, with a series like Monogatari, that doesn't exist. It has aspects of existing as it should within a world like Monogatari, but it would not be without reason. I feel like she has to be not necessarily an oddity, but an oddity mixed with a person, or an oddity, just that. I think that she has to be created from the time we've started Bakemonogatari to where we are now, and it's this weird uncanny valley that she even like she's okay. We're like, yeah, no, yeah, you're familiar. You've always existed here, right? Right? Yeah, I'm. You definitely have all. Like, she's the epitome of like gaslighting that she's always been here.
No,
Yeah.
You're so right with that. It does feel like you're being gaslit a little bit as a viewer. That especially when we first meet her, Aragi knows her in a way where we're like, wait, we're having this interaction at this time where we feel like we should be introduced to this person, or we should have seen how this connection was made. Especially when we're talking to Aragi as if we know about him and his circumstances.
And also about Hachikuji and what she had said. My first take of her when we were introduced to her, quote unquote introduced, was that she was coming off more as like an ethereal, like otherworldly being. And now that perception is being mixed with a more grounded version of it in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, how, like, she's not just saying like life or death, or like she's not giving us guidelines or rules that oddities have to follow or humans interact with. she is honed in on the story of Monogatari so far and the characters within it.
And like, yes, Oshino, Yozuru, Kaiki, all very eccentric characters as these almost like exorcists of oddities, basically. So it's like, oh, well, maybe she's just this kind of ethereal feeling eccentric character because she's the niece of Oshino, and maybe just everyone that knows about oddities or interacts with oddities just is a super fun, interesting character, and they move about this world in ways that are slightly different than other people. You know, she's not wearing a Hawaiian shirt, but she likes long sleeves.
But it's her disposition's so funny and interesting. Like, she's like, oh, how do I get out of this? Okay. We know who Sengoku is. Obviously, I know what she's about. Just name dropping Araragi might get me out of here.
Might get me out of here, yeah.
But obviously, I'm his junior, but not that junior because of my uniform, right? Right? Like,
look at my uniform. Yeah.
God,
and it wasn't working. She was trying
waiting.
so hard. It wasn't working.
I was waiting for Nadeko to bring up Oigi to Araragi just for her to be like, oh, I forgot to mention and ask about Oigi.
And he would have been like, oh.
I would have loved to see it. Okay. I imagine we're going to get her again going forward at some point. Probably just not within the Nadeko storyline.
Okay, like when you started that sentence, I was going to be like, I disagree.
Yeah.
And then you ended the sentence, and I should have just waited for you to finish your thought there before I started thinking in my head that I disagree. Because I agree now with how you actually finished your sentence. What you were saying was that you don't think that we're going to get necessarily more of her within Nadeko's arc. I agree with you. I feel like she is weirdly placed at the very beginning before the action really even begins to happen, and she sets somewhat of a tone.
Yep. Maybe she knows what the tone will be. I don't know. All right, going into the rest of the episode, the meat of the episode, you know? Yeah. What were your initial takeaways from Sengoku? Like, I want to leave it off to you and your interpretation of it, but like, to go into what I'll end up thinking, or what I think might be an interesting analysis or comparison, is what we went through with Hanekawa.
I feel slightly emotional coming out of this episode, because I feel a slight kinship, slight empathy to Nadeko, and it feels good because I really liked her character initially. And I felt some kinship to her in previous interactions with her. But here, especially with the topic being victimhood and are there even genuine victims, I was really resonating with that. So I'm going to get slightly personal for a second.
Ooh.
So I had a chronic heart problem growing up. And through that, was really in that kind of victimhood place. Rightfully so. I was sick and I wasn't able to do a lot, and it definitely impacted my interactions with other people, how often I was able to go to school, what I was even able to do. I couldn't do sports anymore. A lot of reasons to feel and stay in this kind of stagnant place of victimhood, if you will.
Cardiovascular syncope.
Yes. And unfortunately, through that, there were positives, and it was hard to identify at the time that there were positives, but as someone who has aged out of my chronic illness, I can now look back and see what I was thinking at the time. And at the time, it was really a favorable experience to always be seen as impressive, because everything I did was a victory. Every time that I was able to push myself to do something, people celebrated. And it became this thing that almost maybe like an inflated sense of self to some degree. And I latched on to those feelings of praise from other people, that feeling of being special and being able to be seen as strong and be constantly told that by other people. So I wanted to stay in that victimhood to some degree because I was constantly being looked at positively. Because of it, that pity that people were looking at was also another P word, which was like they were praising me. And there was something that felt really comforting about that. Like, you're allowed to stay in your room and we're not gonna dislike you, and we understand your circumstances. And it felt really nice. And I know that that's not everyone's experience, but unfortunately, it bled into other areas of my life as I grew older, that I might always view myself, in no matter what the circumstance was, as the victim. even when I wasn't necessarily the victim in that circumstance, something other than my physical health, interactions, intimate interactions with other people, relationships, friendships. I would always then start to view myself as the victim in this case and not want to identify and put forward in front of me my own failures, my own issues, my own lack of communication skills, the fact that I was putting myself somewhat on this pedestal of, well, I couldn't be wrong here. I couldn't have done anything wrong here. And it bled into the other areas of my life. And now that I'm older and I'm healthier, I'm able to look back at that and see really like I viewed myself as a genuine victim no matter what the circumstance was. And really that's not the case, is I wasn't always the victim there.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm like I'm getting like trying not to cry as I'm talking about it, because it was really hard for me to admit this to myself. And you were with me the day I admitted it to myself. And you helped me admit it to myself. And what happened was I was able to have better relationships with other people. I was able to realize I really had grown stronger actually physically in my body, that I was actually capable of more than I was even I was keeping myself back. I was holding myself in a certain situation that I didn't even need to actually be in physically. And now I'm able to do so much more and enjoy my life so much more because I'm not holding myself in this place in my mind of just like, you can't move, you're stagnant, you're a victim. And I feel so thankful that I was able to get out of that. And I feel like what the journey I'm about to watch Nadeko go through, especially with the kind of opening ideas that the episode brings up in terms of like the victim can become the aggressor, no genuine victims. There's a line that they're in referring to thieves who like to take everything. She says there are a lot of people that aren't like that. And the snake responds, it's more like there are times when people aren't like that. And that really, really resonated with me, because there was a time where I always viewed myself as the one that was not at fault, no matter what the circumstance was, and the one that deserved to be protected and given the easy way out, if you will.
Yeah. Two things. Number one, I'm proud of you. Number two, man, being stuck in the self-realization that you have fallen to the all the bad parts of victimhood and wanting to get better is the ultimate paradox of having the ability and reason to fall back into victimhood itself, right? If you are at a point in your life that you're trying to be a little bit introspective and think, okay, maybe I am not being the best version of myself that I could make right now. An easy thought to go to next is, or an easy feeling to go to next is being afraid. Because what you're realizing then is the past X amount of days or weeks or months or even years, you will start to hate yourself for realizing that you could have been doing this all along. You could have, what's wrong with you? If you admit it, if you don't admit it ever, then you don't have to face the reality that there might have been a time that you already could have gotten out of it. And falling down that trap is the same trap that you're hating yourself for, of being a forever victim when you don't necessarily need to be. It's not giving you as an individual enough credit. The better version of you starts the day that you try to make it actualize and real. And that's what I'm going to be interested to see what we get from Sengoku or Nadeko. She had a line that was along the lines, I'm going to paraphrase, but it was that it was even more unreal that she could refuse the request, right? And within that, I feel as if I might get frustrated with Nadeko in the next few episodes, not because of anything or parallel with you, but one of the things that we learn about Nadeko, or not learn, is reiterated to us, is her age. And we know where she's at even below Uigi, right? In this episode, in terms of age, and what comes with that might be maturity. I wonder what, if you want to play the victim, especially at a young age, and not necessarily even want to, but that's who you are as a person.
And we're being harsh with calling it play the victim.
Yes,
obviously.
yeah, definitely. If you are a victim and nothing but, that could be putting up a massive blanket in front of what your personality actually is or what your feelings actually are. What happens when people don't treat you like the victim? How do you feel then? How do you feel there?
Like the whole world hates you and they're all attacking you. And then it pushes you further into your little hole.
Yeah. I wonder what her actual personality or feelings will be like when being pressed against with this, issue.
There was a scene that I think we can call upon to kind of go into what you were saying. Though she doesn't know when Araragi asks her, what was the reason, what's the catalyst here, she doesn't know at the time, but she's already identified it for us within the episode dialogue to herself. As she's walking through the hallway in school to get to her classroom, she starts getting kind of broken up into pieces visually as she's telling herself to push away the victimhood thoughts. Like, don't be like thinking you're the victim here. Don't be like staying in that place. She's actively identifying that it's an issue for her to be thinking the way that she is, and she needs to stop focusing in on, oh, due to this, my life went off track, and this bad thing happened to me, and that bad thing happened to me, and it all came crashing down, and she starts to like separate as herself. She has a line, could this be what they call playing the victim? So she even refers to it as what I had said was a harsh wording. And it's okay. She's identifying it for herself in the harsh way. And sometimes you gotta be harsh with yourself in order to actually break out of something.
Yeah.
Or have someone be harsh with you.
Like, you can point out very real, objective, tangible things to make your reality seem that you didn't have anything to do with the unfortunate circumstances that you're in. That doesn't mean that that's true, though. Like, Kaiki doing what he did and the classroom being what it is, you are 100% right in pointing it out and saying that it exists. It's objective
at that point.
But it's an interesting game you play when you're using that to stand on for your, main point.
What it comes down to is, what are you doing with yourself in terms of your interactions with the objective truth? It is often said that it is your responsibility in how you move about the world, how your issues, your mental health issues, your struggles, how you handle them and how you treat other people. Despite that, it is your responsibility to take care of yourself and make sure that you're still treating people in an authentic and good way and not taking things out on them. Just be responsible for yourself, be accountable for yourself and your everything to do with yourself, whether you have mental health issues, you have, I don't know, anything. Take responsibility for it. You are in charge of how you interact with the world. You can't always control how the world is going to interact with you, but you can do your best to try to be your best in how you interact with other people and the world and your circumstances.
I wanted to bring up a line that Shinobu said. Oh, I just found it. She's no longer your sister's friend or your innocent little junior. Just a hopelessly wicked and evil oddity. I wonder, like, in trying to play with the feelings and it's not an easy game. It's not an easy place to be if what we're speculating is the case, right? For Sengoku. But I wonder, I really want to see like what the wicked and evil oddity is in this evolution of Sengoku and more dialogue with it. Because after accepting that favor that you'll do, what is the way that you start perceiving the world? And is it partially true to who you actually are as a person before you can overcome it? I don't know. It's like Monogatari, I'll say it again, even if we've made this discussion extremely personal, and in doing so maybe we're a little less objective for what the characters are feeling, but that's our reality and that's fine in itself. But I'll say it again, Monogatari second season has been, I think, my favorite Monogatari that we've gotten so far, and one of the reasons is because of the massive themes that are being undertaken and how the approach is so well done. And I can only give it the respect of trying to put on raw emotions and put that into my viewing experience because of how good it's been so far. So apologies if completely off base, but
as Wiggy says to Sengoku at the beginning of the episode, when it comes to oddities, are there ever really like genuine victims? And that's kind of what we've been getting, is though we can, as a viewer, pity or feel bad for or recognize the struggles of the characters that we are seeing on the screen, and we can be angry of life circumstances or treatments that they've endured. We can also see, as Oshino has kind of always painted for us, there is also the objective fact that in some regard their interaction with it was a catalyst for this. It's everything is working together. There's always a balance here, and so yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. And it was going somewhere good, but I feel slightly emotionally compromised.
Yeah, that's so fair. I'm just pulling back up a couple of Wiggy lines. Maybe you could actually stay the victim if you keep your head down and say nothing. Comma.
Stay.
But I don't know if that's gonna work this time around. You know, like,
Mhm.
and that's not a bad thing long term. But we'll see how it plays out. Victims sure have it easy. This whole like hypnosis, like
This
it was
part
so
like
fucking.
hit me a bit.
Everyone's nice to you out of pity. There are also cases where people blame the victim, but they're basically saying that the aggressors are victims too. Or maybe, and I believe my uncle hated this mindset that there are only victims in this world. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, another thing other than this, to make sure that I get everything in here that I liked from this episode. You pointed out during the episode how we show through the polar snake of the shrine, how we show Sengoku just how many snakes she killed, is that we initially do it as a lot, like more, and she's like, oh, that's a lot, that's too much, and then we only subtract it by a little. Therefore, she is admitting that it was a lot.
Yeah.
Of snakes that she killed.
It's an interesting approach to take it. And like you're kind of shoving, like, okay, if you ask Sengoku how many snakes there were, she could be falling like to the whole like, oh, I'm the victim by mischaracterizing how many there were, being like, I would be misremembering it if it was more than 5, because I'm not that type of person. That I would never, I'm not capable of doing more than that. And then you pull off the covers and it's like, holy shit, wait, no, I don't want to look at that, I wouldn't have done that. It's like, it's just denial, you know?
I think my final thing is another line in this episode that I really liked, which is what you're trampling on to live. And I think we can read it in so many ways. Like, what is that we're going to learn it in the next couple episodes. What is Sengoku trampling on in order to live? And what I'm going to read into is live is what Ougi puts forward of stay in the place that you are. Will you be able to keep your head down and stay the way that you are? Is that what living is for Sengoku currently with this sentence of what you're trampling on to live? What are you trampling on? We get this idea with the classroom that every other person in that classroom is probably feeling similar feelings to Sengoku. They're all uncomfortable. All of their intimate feelings and emotions, hatreds and loves have been exposed to everyone else in the classroom. They're all young, so I mean, I can't even imagine being like 14 and every single person in my classroom that I have to go to every day, knowing who I have a crush on, who I hate, like who I would want to curse, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I have 2 more things. One's really, really quick, which is just Venom affects vampires. Interesting. My last being, I brought it up at the beginning of the discussion because I did want to talk about it, but it's extremely hot in here. And I think that it's not just this episode thing that we can talk about it. And if anything, it might be more beneficial when we learn more. And that is how this arc goes in terms of like a Venn diagram into Hanekawa's arc and Hanekawa's personality and somebody who's more mature. Because one of my favorite things within Monogatari is that everybody is so gray, And there can be so many things that are similar to another character, but vastly different while being very similar. And that's just the reality of life. And every person is different. And it's one of the strongest things in terms of writing within the series. And I think that it would be really interesting to really try to get in the weeds and dissect that. But that's all I have. You good?
I'm as good as I could be right now.
Proud of you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And we hope to see you next time.